welcome into the program, Miss Amy Fadool.
Hello. Good morning. Happy Friday.
It is, isn't it? Beautiful weather, the summer getting going, and we're very excited to have you with us, as we always are. Not just because we're going to do, in the final segment of today's show, Ask Me Amy thing, which you can start sending questions in, as we always do. But we had a question to start the show today about the number one thing that you want to see in Philadelphia sports this summer. By the way, if you're thinking Andrew Salchunas sounds a little under the weather today, I'm Connor Thomas in for Andrew.
Sound different.
He'll be back on Tuesday. John Kincaid to my left, as always. And the parameters of this are pretty loose. Like, just Philadelphia sports has a lot of big things happening. In Philadelphia, the sports scene in general.
Yes.
I know you're well aware of the World Cup coming here, the All-Star festivities in Major League Baseball. So we can open it to wherever your mind goes. But the number one thing that you would want to see, with some sense of realism, in Philadelphia sports this summer...
Be realistic, Amy.
...is what?
A right-handed power bat?
I don't think... I love hearing that answer. That's a great answer. Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
I'm out there. I'm like hesitation. I'm like, I hope Steve thinks it's a good answer.
I think that's a great answer.
Yeah, I feel like that's been something that we have not seen for a bit, and I would enjoy to have some reliability on that side of the dish for me.
Very interesting. Now, we've had a texter who said that already. I don't disagree with you. That would change the entire structure of the Phillies lineup.
Yeah, because I feel like they get kind of hemmed in a lot trying to do, certain left, right. I mean, sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes you have to go left, left, left. But it would get a little bit more variety on that one.
Yeah, I think that's also been on the wish list for the past 5 summers.
Exactly.
So I don't know if we'll see an effective one, but John went somewhere different, and I'm surprised a little bit that you didn't go here. His number one want was to find a trade partner to move off the Joel Embiid contract.
You said realistic, right?
Yeah, they see now. It's funny is the little smirk that you gave me there.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the truth. I mean,
I feel like that's there to move off, and I probably wouldn't hem it in with just one. I would say one of the big contracts. I feel like you need to move off one of those. So realistically, that would be something.
As long as one's gone by October, I feel good that they're at least taking a step forward towards fixing this.
Yeah, I would think you need to move off one of those big contracts. I don't need, you can pick which one. I think that there's some nuance to that one because there's a thought that Joel Embiid is more movable as a player because of the viability you could sell on people of like, hey, you get maybe 50 games and you're going to get really good 50 games because at his best, he's a 40-point player. Even at his not so best, he's a 25-point player. So you get that aspect. He is a very, one of the best players when he's healthy. Of course, there's that caveat. The Paul George sell is you're trying to sell them on what you saw in the Celtics series. That's your tape right there. That's your reel that you're sending out to them. As far as like a realistic thing, yeah, I mean, I think if you try to move off one of them, I probably would have said, I guess I wouldn't have agreed just with Joel Embiid because I don't know that it's just realistic to focus on one. But I get what John's saying. I think that's definitely something that I think that's going to be on a lot of people's wish list.
You'd rather have that right-handed power bat, though?
I would. I think
there's a lot of people that would probably say that.
Well, it's top of mind, right? I don't think where we're at right now, even though we've got one heck of a Game 7 coming up in the Western Conference Finals. I know you're geared up for that, Amy.
Sucked, though.
Well, there've been a couple like stinkers.
Yeah, I think 3 of them have stunk.
Which is so unusual because the first game was
amazing.
You thought, wow, we're going overtime every single game. It was double overtime. And the second game was a good game, too. And then the rest of them have been kind of like, really?
I'm glad it was like that because to me, that guarantees that we're getting a classic.
Yeah, I knew the Spurs were going to win. I thought it was going to be a little bit hard fought. But yeah, I was like, well, the Spurs are not going down like this. They're not going to roll over at home. It's not going to happen.
Unfortunately, though, the Sixers, they did do that. So maybe the right-handed power bat and the idea on the Phillies, they're the currently active team. Yeah. So if a lot of people go there because they're top of mind. And we're going to talk about Christopher Sanchez. We haven't had you in since that special moment that we got on Wednesday out in San Diego. Like, we're going to get all of your thoughts on that because I know you've been talking about it a lot. Special thing. But maybe more realistic for the Sixers. I wonder if this even crossed your mind when I asked you that question.
We're asking her a lot about realism this morning.
We are. We're trying to keep it based in reality. Would a better focus maybe be the next president of basketball operations? Do you have a wish list? Did that cross your mind of I need this guy?
I mean, I feel like, I don't know that there have been names that have thrown out there, but I think I remember I was on here right after it happened, and it was, my thought was you're going to try to find a young executive that you could kind of mold into who you want him to be, that's an up-and-comer and on a winning team. And I remember I said at the time in the playoffs, obviously we're still a lot more teams active. I was like somebody from the Thunder or somebody from the Spurs. The Spurs, I don't know. I feel like they keep a lot of their hires in-house. So I don't know that you're going to be able to hire one of their players away, but you look for winning cultures. I don't think that that's a big, the Warriors, obviously,
what's Brett Brown doing these days?
Yeah, Bob Myers is working from, but Brett Brown's still there hanging out in San Antonio. But I mean, the Heat, I think that these are like cultures that you're looking for, young executives trying to find the next big guy. Bob Myers, his background is tremendous. Hugely successful out there in the Warriors, building that dynasty, because it really was a dynasty, recognizing young talent, making the contracts work, all of those things. So for him to be leading this, and AKA, I think, being a huge hand in what the Sixers are going to do in the offseason, he's almost going to be acting in that role. And I'd imagine whoever they bring in, he'll be helping them act in that role. I don't want to say he's going to be doing the job per se, but I think he's going to be a very large part of it because that's his background. I mean, I know that his official title is president of sports, which is my favorite title I've ever heard. And so he covers everything with the Harris Blitzer Sports Group. But I think that you would think he's going to lean heavy into this one and finding a younger executive. I don't mean just necessarily in age. I just mean in the business that's been kind of part of a strong culture, a winning culture. So you're looking at teams like the Thunder, the Spurs, the Heat.
See, what I'm hearing here, Johnny, I want to know if you hear this as well. I'm hearing a level of faith that Amy has in the Bob Myers process for bringing in the next president of basketball operations. I don't know that the fan base feels that way right now, and maybe they should. Like, I'm not saying you're wrong, but it sounds to me like you have a high level of faith in them getting this as right as they can.
Well, I feel like the one thing that I appreciated is that they were like, here's a guy, and I think I've said this before, I always recognize the mark of a good leader is recognizing that you don't know it all and you can't do it all. And whatever your shortcomings are, you start hiring people that can do those things. Harris Blitzer, they run a lot of companies very well. We all know that. The amount of money that they've made, the investments that they've had, they're recognizing we need somebody that's with basketball knowledge to help clean this up. We have one in-house that has many championships with the Warriors. 4. So it's like, why wouldn't we go lean on this guy? And there's nothing in Bob Myers' history that's going to tell you that he is a failed executive, that he is not a guy that's going to be successful. There's nothing about the way that he helped the Warriors win all of those titles that you thought, I don't know about this guy. I mean, he was consistently winning, consistently building a team, and they really, for lack of a better expression, they rebuilt the way that teams are going to be built. And I mean that in that positionless basketball. And he was a big part of that. That's one of the first times. And I know everybody talks about how Steph changed the game. Steph did change the game with a 3-point. But the way that I go back to something LeBron said when they lost to them the first time, that's a full team. They don't have guys that just play center, that just play forward, that just play center and point guard. It was a positionless basketball. And that was like, in 2014, I feel like. I'd have to look that up. But it's in that, earlier time. And they were one of the first teams that people realized, like, it doesn't matter that your forward handles the ball all the time. It doesn't matter that your center is going to be your leading assist man when you look at the Nuggets. It's one of those things that everybody kind of started taking a look and be like, all right, well, maybe you can play different roles. And he was at the forefront of that. He was their general manager and their president of basketball ops during that. So I think that when I look at his history, there's nothing about what he's done and built that would lead me to believe that he's going to be like, well, you know what? We're just going to, everything's fine. Everything's fine here. I do not think he's going to be hands up. Everything's fine.
Do you believe, though, the one thing that scares me is that I don't have a problem with him hiring like a protege type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
As long as I know he's still driving and the protege is sitting shotgun being
I feel like
trained.
That's going to happen.
So you do believe that?
I do feel like
you're so close to this. It really helps.
Yeah, I feel like I would think that, and I don't mean that as they're going to hire someone they don't have confidence in.
Yes, no, somebody that can be brought along.
I feel like it's somebody that if you want to set someone up for success, you want to have them. You want to show them the ropes. That in any kind of position like that, you're not going to hand over the keys to a $1 billion franchise with millions of dollars. I mean, we all know that the numbers, the players that they have, 40 million, 54, and 56. I mean, these are all players that are huge, huge contracts. You're not going to hand over the keys to a franchise like that has championship expectations and a roster that's paid like one as far as the starters go, and go like, hey, good luck.
Yeah, the Preston Mattingly to his Dave Dombrowski. I know how people feel about Dombo, but
like Preston though has been.
Yeah, we're all like, well,
it's
the idea, not the people.
Right. I can't wait to see Preston one day take over. Yeah, but Preston has gotten to, no matter what anybody thinks about Dave Dombrowski, I guarantee you Preston would tell you he's benefited big time from working with him.
Right. And I think that's something that's really important when you're looking at executive, kind of hierarchy and the way that the whole tree will go down and who is reporting to who. There's a lot of lines that are going to go straight across because they're going to try to work together because of that. When they depart, everybody knows what kind of business we're all in, right? You know what kind of business this is. Guys can get fired at the drop of a hat, even if you have a winning pedigree. And so I think they want to make sure you set them up for success when they do move on, whether it's for their choice or the team's choice.
Now, of course, a lot of people have heard this question, and some Eagles fans may have thought, hey, the number one thing I want is for this A.J. Brown situation to be over.
But it's going to be over. Summer officially starts, June 21st? It'll be long done by then.
But what do you think about the return for A.J. Brown? Is there something where maybe you say it has to be this? We had this conversation earlier about like the drop dead point for an A.J. Brown return. Like if I don't get a first, whether it's 27 or 28, I'm not doing it. Do you have that line?
First of all, I think the deal's probably close to already done. I don't know. And I say that just because it's been talked about so long. I feel like it's going to be one of those things. We have that legal tampering period and the free agency starts and, it's a magical thing. All these contracts got decided in 60 seconds. And some of those are not even during the illegal tampering period. But yeah, I feel like in my mind, I would hope that the Eagles and I have, again, here's an executive that you have full faith in because he's never shown you, I shouldn't say never. He hasn't recently shown you the inability to turn things around when they needed to be in Howie Roseman, right? Howie Roseman has had very, very, very few missteps, and you'd have to go back years at this point to look for them. I feel like the setup for them is we're going to need a first, not just because of the return for losing. And that was the one thing that I appreciate all the coach speak that the players gave. Saquon Barkley, I thought, gave a great answer on A.J. Brown. Jalen Hurts gave exactly what I thought he was going to give. But to try to say that things are not going to be different when you're losing a perennial 1,000-yard receiver is just laughable. You have to acknowledge that. And I thought Saquon did a good job of acknowledging that at least. Give me that. Stop it. What are we doing? But not only for the actual return because you're losing a 1,000-yard receiver who's always 1,000 yards. And we can't remember the last time the Eagles had a perennial 1,000-yard receiver. We can't because you can't name him because he doesn't exist. Also, the optics of it. This has been going on for so long. If you don't get the highest return, you can't just be we tried. No, you haven't tried. You've been talking about trading this guy for over a year, well over a year. I mean, even 2 years ago, it was kind of hey, maybe they'll move on from A.J. Brown. So it at least a calendar year plus at this point. The optics of it to not get a first-round pick, I think, will be pretty bad. Not to mention the fact that you actually need it back because you're losing one of the best receivers in the game.
I think that's all very fair. That's essentially where we landed on it when we were talking about it earlier today, and we'll see how quickly that deal comes down. Monday is June 1st.
Monday, so. I'll be at work at 10 a.m. in case there's any breaking news.
Well, you'll be listening to us in the morning because we're going to be.
I'll be listening on my way.
We're going to be breaking
to work.
it. 6:40 in the morning is when Adam Schefter joins us on Monday, and he's going on a golf trip Tuesday and Wednesday that he's scheduled with his buddies. Does that tell you anything? As someone you're in a career much closer to what Adam does than we are. The fact that
one's in the stratosphere.
But the fact that Adam scheduled a golf trip for Tuesday and Wednesday to golf during the day.
Yeah, for Tuesday and Wednesday.
Does that sort of tell you that he knows that?
It's so funny because you read certain articles and they'll say after June 1st. I'm like, no. It's on or after June 1st. Like that. And I know there was the smoke about there's another, team has entered the chat. We heard some rumors about Jacksonville. And then there was there's another AFC team.
Always a mystery team.
Well, the mystery team drives up the price. I do think the price is probably pretty set. If I'm the Eagles, you've known that price for a while. I'm not saying it's definitive, but I imagine the range of the price is pretty set and has been for months and months at this point.
Howie's not the kid that's got a project due in school, and the night before he's coming up talking to his mom saying, "Hey, I need a glue stick and I need colored pencils and all this stuff." That was me all the time.
You got to get that trifold poster somewhere.
A really good student.
Trifold poster.
A really good student. Connor, great student. And he did that crap. I can't imagine.
I was a smart student. I don't know that I'd say I was a great student.
You did?
There were weak
I worked
spots.
better under pressure.
Yeah,
I would not have thought that about you. I would have thought
it's so weird because I'm not that way at all. I'm a huge planner. I get everything done. I like to plan things for months out. But for whatever reason, schoolwork, I would have thought you were kids. If you're listening, school is important. But I found no point in doing work like that.
And you did better cramming the night before, cramming it in. Wow. I
did too.
I can't say my art projects or whatever, my trifold posters were the best.
Yeah, exactly.
My poor mom was having to go get film developed back in the day or print pictures.
Back at the photo mat?
We'd have to go
Did you have to go to one of them in the middle of the parking lot, in my age group?
You go to the CVS to print the pictures or whatever.
See, we used to have to drive to the middle of parking lots. There was a photo mat.
I don't know if I remember that.
They used to have these
Maybe I was in elementary school.
They used to have these little stands.
Like a stand, like a stand.
Yeah, they had a stand.
Box.
They had a box that would be in the middle of a supermarket parking lot, and you would drop off the film at a drive-in in the middle of a parking lot.
And then a week later, you'd get it?
You'd get it 3 days later.
I think they closed all those down after the war.
I was at least in the advent of the 1 hour printing. You could go to whatever Staples or Kinko's or wherever and print stuff right away. I'm
going to get a picture of one of these. You'll never believe that
24-hour Kinko's was
they used to be right in the middle of parking lots.
Well, I don't think Howie Roseman's going to need one to figure out the A.J. Brown situation, but we'll be watching that closely. Now, Amy, I don't need to do anything to set this next topic up besides just say a name to you. Christopher Sanchez.
Oh, my gosh.
Your thoughts?
I was lucky enough to do the game before where we were talking about how he was staring down history. And I don't think I realized, what he was looking at and how old those numbers. So, because we ran the board, the graphic that said, here's where they stand right now as far as scoreless inning streak for the Phillies. And you saw Grover, Cleveland Alexander, which I still can send. The man's name was just probably Cleveland. And they're like, you got to put the Grover up on there.
Yeah, have to.
You got to put Grover.
Come on, Grover.
Because the president. And then they had Sanchez, and then Cliff Lee's on there twice, by the way, which is wild. And I thought, wow, this is some really, really rarefied air. And then there's also the streak of pitchers just in all of baseball that had no earned runs in an entire calendar month with at least 5 starts, which is an even shorter list, no surprise. And that's all of baseball. And he is when he got it, when we were watching it, because you just knew he was going to get it. And then he started off so strong, and I was like, oh, my gosh. At what point does he realize? It's not perfect game, kind of don't talk to me stuff, but it is kind of in that realm of don't look at him.
You had Bohm with the error. You had the throwing error by Bryce.
Yeah.
And you had, and remember, that ends the streak.
It looked like there was
an unearned run, it ends the streak.
You could kind of feel that they were tight to start that game. And he didn't have his best stuff, and Don Mattingly talked after.
First inning, you're like, ooh.
Yeah, he was like, I don't know if he was thinking about it at all, but it's an incredible accomplishment. And you were just listing off some of the things. Jason Stark talked on Unfiltered yesterday about some of the cool nuggets of this Sanchez streak. Here's what he had to say.
But this scoreless streak of Christopher Sanchez, it's even more historic than we even knew. I dug in on this today. This is not just the longest scoreless inning streak in Phillies history. It's not just the third longest streak by a left-handed pitcher since 1900, which is what I posted yesterday. It turns out this is actually the longest as a starting pitcher only by any left-handed pitcher in the live ball era. Now, the longest streak period still belongs to Carl Hubble, 1933, 45 and a third. But it turns out Carl Hubble, 2 of his innings came out of the bullpen during that streak, which means only 43 and a third of it came as a starter. What's that mean, boys? It means Christopher Sanchez, his streak, is the longest ever by a left-handed starter in the live ball era, which means it's getting more legendary literally every day.
Jason Stark always has great deep dives into what the numbers actually mean, and he'll find those stats from way back. So actually, the longest by a left-handed pitcher in the live ball era. It's insane to think about what he's doing right now. And from what we've seen, it doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon.
Let's rewind for a second. Let's go back to the very first series of the year, and he's coming back, and people were like, "Oh, I don't know, Sanchez, he doesn't look so good." That was a sentence that we said out loud.
The first couple outings,
I know.
he wasn't
we
his
said
best.
those sentences out loud.
Yes.
We should go back and hit ourselves.
We should.
Because we were like, well, I hope it's going to turn out okay. Hope he can get back
Hope
up.
He's okay. Is he okay?
Is he okay?
And people get hyperbolic with these types of stretches. You see something special in a single season or one of these stretches of a season, and everyone's like, what does it mean?
Because he did struggle a little bit, comparatively, compared to what we expect from him, I should say. Yeah. And the worry was, you're still waiting for Wheeler to come back. Can you get to May if your ace is struggling? Struggling for Christopher Sanchez was like, 3 earned runs. What are we going to do? But he didn't look. His velocity was down a little bit to start the season. His location was a little bit off, so he was walking some guys. There's a couple earned runs. It lasted, I think, maybe 3 starts, maybe 2.5 starts, and then to see where his ERA is now, it's just is wild to think about. Yeah,
it's wild. The names on the Phillies list were interesting because you mentioned Cliff Lee. Ranger Suarez is one of the top 4. There, like Grover Cleveland Alexander from way back in 1911. They're really good pitchers. But when you look at where he's at now all time and you start to look at the Hershiser record, all those guys up there are like, you're talking Hall of Fame level arms. This is not just, hey, a guy lucked it. You'll see somebody throw a no-hitter or maybe even a perfect game where there are these outliers. There aren't really outliers on that list. I'm not saying Christopher Sanchez Hall of Fame, give him this plaque now.
Right,
but
exactly.
That's the company that you keep when you do something like this.
But you look at what he did last year. You look at even 2 years ago, certainly last year, and then now this year. That's what you're talking about. You're looking at, yes, this is a phenomenal run he's on. But he's been a consistently top-tier pitcher for 3 seasons going now.
Yeah, it's 3 seasons now.
So, that's when you're talking about hyperbole, people are going, oh, it's just because he's really good right now. Like, yeah, he is really good right now, a.k.a. the best pitcher in baseball right now. But then you also look at last year and you look at the year before and you're thinking, all right, those were also some really, really good years, Cy Young type of seasons. So I feel like that's when you're looking at, and when we're talking about this kind of like really good run he's on, you're not just pointing out to, 11 starts. We're pointing out to 3 seasons. And that's where there's really good feelings and good vibes going in.
Is there any chance that you get Sanchez, Wheeler back-to-back in the All-Star game?
Yeah, that's always interesting. I would think that
Skeens will be in the mix, Mizorowski will be in the mix, but
I think they'll give a little one. First of all, they should both be in there.
Yes.
Just regardless of anything else.
But it's a Philly game.
Exactly. I think they do have a little bit of, kind of like, we're going to defer to you guys on what you want. There's always deference when it comes to the All-Star game with the best teams because they know that these guys are then going to be going for the playoffs and whatever else, so they don't want to mess anything up for them. So there's always conversations with the managers across baseball. That's always happened. But I think especially because it's in Philadelphia, the Phillies will get a little bit of a bump because of that. And if they want to do something fun for the fans, they're going to do it.
Because right now, Zach has to get a few more starts in to be able to get into because he's got 6 or 7 starts. Either 6 or 7.
6, I believe.
He's got to get a few more starts to get to where his stats count, I guess, towards the
qualifying, but he could still be an All-Star.
He could still be an All-Star.
Mizorowski made it last year on 2 innings pitched
exactly.
or whatever.
But to me though, I do wonder about the two of them. Because right now, there's no question Sanchez is the starter. It would be
great to see Sanchez start and then he hands the ball off to Wheeler type of vibe.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? That's what they would love to do. The All-Star game is cinema. Right. Yes, it's a game and whatever else. And does it have meaning? Sure. But it's cinema. And this one's going to be cinema for a lot of different reasons because of the 250th birthday and all the other fun stuff. But they're going to have as many Phillies as possible in this game.
And it's going to be here, and it's one of the things that maybe it's on your wish list, of what you want to see this summer. That's our big topic for the day. The next topic we have is Eagles related, and we're going to have to take A.J. Brown off the table for it. Outside of what's going on there, what is top of mind with the Birds for Amy Fadool? We find out her answer. And also, this is important for all of us. You out there listening as well. Is the stadium traffic plan getting fixed? Amy, I know you're down there for work every day. I'm sure you wouldn't mind to hear that.
Amy may have been a part of this plan.
John has something coming up on that as well. It is Kincaid and South Tunis. Back after this here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincaid and South Tunis. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
The Eagles, hopefully they're going to have their offseason run a lot smoother than that. Amy, I'm interested because A.J. Brown has become such a big part of the conversation. The main focus, not just for the Eagles, but with the NFL right now. With June 1st on Monday, that's where everyone's mind's going to go first. But there's a lot that this team has that they've got to take care of this offseason to gear up for a really big season. So if I take the A.J. Brown conversation off the table, what's your number one focus, or what I put down on the show sheet here was number one concern with the Eagles right now? Just went through the first part of OTAs over the week. Where does your mind go?
The safety position.
Thank you.
That's where it goes.
Thank you. That's me too.
I know why we're thanking people, because it gives me great anxiety.
Yeah. Thank you for agreeing with me.
Thank you for giving me anxiety. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, concern's probably up. Too strong of a word. I don't ever use like big words like that, because concern to me, I'm like, am I concerned? I have some questions. I would say I'm questioning that. Makuba coming back. You hope that he's going to be, in good health and ready to hit the ground running, because in 11 games last year he showed you that he, is a very good player. 46 tackles. I thought he did a really nice job, and then the ankle injury, cut the season short. On the other side, I know when we heard from Fangio, he said in certain base defense, you'll have Cooper DeJean back there in that safety role in that certain look defense. But that's not an everyday look, an every down look, I should say. So then the Fangio was asked that, and he said, well, Marcus Epps is the guy right now. And he kind of said it like that. And I was like, oh.
It doesn't make you feel great, does it?
The thing that I enjoy about Vic Fangio, one of the things I enjoy about Vic Fangio is his honesty. There is a very good amount of transparency. I think a healthy amount of transparency when he comes to talking about these things. When he says a player's name, I always say, like, it's either a really good thing or a really bad thing. If you hear your name come out of that man's mouth, you better be on high alert, because he's generally probably talking to you about, hey, this is how you need to get better. And he doesn't mince words usually when he comes to talking about those type of players that he expects a lot more from. I think that said to me, like, it's Epps' job right now. It's Epps' job to lose is kind of how I read that. Like, he's a guy that he's expecting to step up. We've heard that phrasing before many, many times, certainly in the defense over the last couple of years that Fangio has been here, the expectations he has for those players and what he needs to see from them. He has certain check marks that he needs to see from these players in order to feel confident to put them out there in that role, especially in the secondary. Secondary is so strong. The cornerbacks that's the best trio in the NFL. I don't think there's a lot of people that are going to have an argument for that, for those three right there.
I mean, 2 first-team All-Pros. You
just don't see that. You haven't seen that for years across the board around the league. So I feel like the safety is one thing that I'm like, okay. John Campbell's another guy I want to see take that next step. I really like him. I'm pretty high on him. I'm probably higher on him than maybe some folk out there. So I don't have as many concerns with the linebacking that we've had in the years past. I think that's a pretty solid unit. But for me, safety was the first thing that jumped out. I was just like, just because of the way I've heard Fangio talk and the fact that there's players coming back that you don't know exactly what they're going to be.
I think that's very fair. The Jihad Campbell thing's interesting. He'll become a bigger part of the conversation, I think, as the offseason goes along. Like letting Nakobe Dean go, we knew that was coming because of the injury stuff, and we wish him the best in Vegas, and we'll see how that plays out.
And he didn't choose the Cowboys.
Yeah, which we'll love him forever.
And by the way, I did hear a story that the Cowboys, from my boys in Dallas who do morning radio in Dallas, the Cowboys reportedly offered more.
I've heard there's a couple over the years. You hear those stories every now and again that the Cowboys offered more, and people are just like,
the Cowboys offered more, and he went to Vegas.
Good on him.
Bear Brooks has a story like that. Like, it wasn't like a significant more, but it was $200,000 more. For Barrett, and he's like $200,000 more. He's just like, I couldn't do it.
How much is your soul worth?
He's like, he couldn't do it.
2 no-tax states. So
I think he went to Detroit.
He was choosing. He was choosing between 2 no-tax states. So it was he's
state income tax.
So he's choosing between Texas and Nevada, keeping that even.
They still tax them.
But I think he decided that the chance to go to Vegas and be part of building something over the chance of going to Dallas and having potentially his Philly legacy.
Well, I think also
touched.
Some folks feel some kind of way about facing their former team all the time. And if you go to
he loved his Philly legacy.
Yeah, so that would be interesting. I don't know. You never really know.
Now, does this feel silly? Because you could have gone anywhere with that, and we agree with you on the safety thing. Like, that's my number one place. But then in the back of my mind, I'm like, that's one position on a Vic Fangio-led defense that has been as solid can be since he's been here.
I don't know if it's one. It's the
one
whole
position group.
Right. It's not one dude. It's the whole group. There's a little bit of a.
Meanwhile, on the other side, they're doing a near 180 for the entire offensive side of the ball scheme-wise with Sean Mannion. Mm-hmm. And it seems silly when you put those up against each other that safety would be where someone's mind goes first. And it's where mine goes. So I'm not blaming you, but are you confident in what you've heard so far about the Sean Mannion offense?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my question would be, the position group, do I feel more confident about the offensive position groups than I do about the safety position group? So that's what I kind of weighed. I have confidence in Jalen Hurts. I don't waver in that. There's nothing that I look at. Again, when I go back to what we're talking about with the Sixers, I go back in the history. We had this conversation with our 11-year-old, and people should record some of these conversations and the things that he says. But he just loves to talk about like comparisons, and that's what a lot of the kids do. They're like, he's the greatest, and rank everybody. You have to rank everybody at all time. And I was like, I don't know. So of course, I get completely called out for my quarterback rankings for whatever reason. And he's just like, well, do you think, because we were down in Baltimore for the Orioles game, he's like, do you think Lamar Jackson's a top 10 quarterback? I think Lamar Jackson's a very good quarterback. The question was, would I rather have Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson? And I said Jalen Hurts, to which I was roundly roasted. By
you're the pro.
People.
You got to take ownership.
Well, I wasn't roasted necessarily by my own table, but I said that out loud in Baltimore, and there was other patrons who were like, what? And I was like, oh, my God.
Really? So in Baltimore, you were roasted for that?
Because they thought Lamb Jackson should be absolute. Lamb Jackson's like the top 5 quarterback, blah, blah, blah.
Because I hear he does... That he gets a lot of
two-time
disrespect,
MVP.
That I hear that he gets a lot of disrespect from some. There's factions.
Well, Pratt Street Ale House.
It was not at Pratt Street Ale House.
lot of fans. I mean, I think that they're hard on him because he doesn't have the best postseason record, but no, they know that he's they believe he is a top 5 quarterback. Personally, I think when I go through and I had this conversation there, and I was like, there's a lot of metrics that I use to judge a quarterback. And for right or wrong, I think being a winner is a quality that you can possess, just like being a loser is a quality you can possess. And I don't mean that loser like you don't get up in the morning and look at you're lazy or whatever.
Yeah.
But you just don't have that winning quality. You don't have that ability to be a winner. And I think you can be the opposite of that, which is
a loser. And you feel that way about Jalen Hurts, and that makes the offense a little bit more comfortable.
I think he has that winning quality. I think there's certain things that you look at and you're like, well, I wish he was, because the guy, Lamar's a better runner. Cool. That's not a metric that I would use.
Lamar doesn't have a bright lights quality that Jalen has.
I just think that there's something to that. I think there's certain players in every sport that step up when the moment is the biggest.
Well, guess what? He's got a big moment this year because he's going to have to step up with a different style of offense than we've seen him run. Without a number 1 wide receiver in A.J. Brown. Now, Devontae can step into that role, but there's a lot that Jalen Hurts is going to have to answer questions on this year with his play. I'm glad you guys have that faith in him. I think the majority of Eagles fans should, but it's still fair to ask questions.
It is. I
don't think everybody's like thinking like, all right, well, Jalen's back and there's no A.J. Brown, but we're still going to the Super Bowl. I don't think there's any of that.
If you don't ask questions, then you're just being pie in the sky. You're being a homer.
But your head's in the sand.
Correct.
Yes.
That's good.
Now, we'll get into that stadium.
Sky, sand, either way.
Sky, sand.
We're all over the place. It's the beach time.
Wherever your head is. You got to be asking questions about the quarterback of the Eagles. We'll get into that stadium traffic plan coming up. We also have a fan interest conversation that came out of John's event last night with the Flyers Roundtable and what he saw there.
We had a good time last night.
So a little interaction with some fans and how it affects the way we're viewing teams in this city. We'll talk about that next here on Kincaid and South Tunis, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Kincaid and South Tunis, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com. 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
A very interesting conversation on fan focus in the city is what John Kincaid has for us. I'm Connor Thomas in for Andrew South Tunis. Amy Fadool in studio with us for the remainder of the show. And John, you were out with John Marks and Bill Colarulo at the Chickies and Pete's in Marlton for the Flyers Roundtable last night.
Which was a great turnout. We thank Bet Parks for putting on the event. We thank the folks at Chickies in Marlton. What a great spot.
It is a beautiful, really nice one.
They had all the the window, the big doorways open and everything last night, like the fresh air. It was unbelievable.
Beautiful day, beautiful weather. It's a beautiful time for Flyers fans too, because the interest is renewed. But you had a takeaway about the comparison between where Flyers fandom is and Sixers fandom.
Yeah, I wonder, and I really wanted to. I'm glad you did this when Amy's in, because last night it's a bad fishbowl for this, because
it's a Flyers event.
From my statistics classes over the years, I would be told
this is not a random sampling.
It's not a random sampling, so it would not be. But I think if I take it from conversations I've had at the golf course, conversations I've had at station events, conversations I had last night, right now, I think the Sixers have slid into fourth in this city in interest. I think that the Flyers, now look, the Flyers have the very easy chance of sliding right back into fourth. The Eagles clearly have the town's primary interest, with the Phillies firmly in second. But I think the Flyers have moved ahead as far as just chatter, interest, positivity over the Sixers. And right now, I sort of feel that is a secure opinion.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree.
Okay.
Because the metrics will probably say otherwise. I'd have to pull up, because I can,
Sure.
You can look at like actual things about like clicks on articles and all the other nonsense kind of stuff. But I feel like that's
not nonsense though.
Yeah,
that's actual
I feel
data.
like that's like stuff.
Sure.
That you can point to, Sixers-centric podcasts versus Flyers-centric podcasts, viewership. You can look at some actual numbers. Do they always tell the story? I mean, they tell a good portion of it.
I like data, so I would lean on those. Like, to me, I would believe those things a lot.
I think that the feeling that you get, though, is that there's more interest because it's more positive feeling.
Yeah, it's the excitement versus the attention. The excitement is certainly
they both lost
higher.
in the second round, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they both got swept.
Yeah, but it felt wildly different.
Completely.
Yeah.
Completely different. Right? If the numbers are the exact same. You played 4 games, you didn't win a 1, but it felt completely different. You had the coach, Brendan Moore on the other side being like, you guys are going in the right direction. You feel positive. You had the Knicks being like, oh, is it your building? Cool. It's our building now.
Not a sports town.
Well, that was you guys, you need to keep watching.
Yeah,
You've got to watch the Roommates podcast, because he really kept going with that. That's a knock on Jalen, and I appreciate their relationship. I know a lot of people don't like those two. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious, because there was a moment the other day where they were all 3 up there. It was Mikhail and Josh and Jalen, and they were like, hey, you guys have all won, multiple national championships. And Jalen's like, no, Josh only has 1.
I love
I was like, if
they didn't play for the New York Knicks, I'd love their dynamic, but I cannot behind a microphone in Philadelphia say that right now.
But I like that. I just think that's so funny. But anyway, those 2 series felt wildly different. So I think right now the energy you feel is like, the Flyers have a much more positive energy going right now. You feel hopeful. You feel optimistic. When you look at the energy that's surrounding the Sixers, there's concern. There's like, how are you going to get out of this? How are you going to fix this? You don't have that kind of fix this mentality with the Flyers. So while the numbers may skew Sixers-ish as far as like more viewership, more clicks on articles, more listens on podcasts, I think that the vibe is that the Flyers would be third in that regard as far as like the way that the feeling goes. Now, I don't know. I'd have to look up
based on feelings, it makes a lot of sense though. Based on feelings.
Right, because you feel good. You feel like positive energy is definitely more of an infectious energy. You feel like you want to share it. Like, oh my gosh, wasn't that fun? Like, I know they didn't win, but they were in those games. They were in most of the games with the Hurricanes, who were a dynamic team, such a great team, a Stanley Cup, championship type of team, and they were in there. And you look at the Sixers, like, they weren't in with the Knicks.
Yeah, I think
they had one game that they thought they were going to try to get, and they emptied the clip against them, and it wasn't enough.
That's a really fair evaluation of where I think we're at right now with the hierarchy of the teams. Now, something that would create excitement for any fan of any team in this city would be it being easier to get in and out of the buildings to watch these teams play. So, John, you said something interesting about a traffic plan for the stadiums. What's going on? It seems like they should have fixed it by now. Are they fixing it?
Where they are. This is a good one, and it is finally being solved. Now, here's the bigger story, though, and this is a good little part of the story. Governor Shapiro was announcing the overhaul of the traffic plan around the complex in South Philly. So there are going to be new on and off ramps that are going to be built on. There's going to be a new traffic control center, so now you're going to have more timed lights and things like that. You're also going to have, if you've been to Las Vegas, just to give it an example, because people tend to know Las Vegas. If you were looking at Citizens Bank Park and you were looking where Xfinity Live, Stateside Live is right now, that intersection, think of that intersection having 4 canopied walkways.
Mm-hmm.
You will no longer be able to cross on the street.
Thank God.
There ever.
As much fun as that is.
You will not be able to. By the way, you will no longer be able to cross on the street on Broad Street at the subway stations. Yeah. There will now be a wall. There will be a walkway that's going to take you over to FDR. So you will now no longer be. You have people jumping across you, crossing across Broad Street
because
holding up traffic.
For anybody that's been down there, we've all been the people that are walking, and we've all been the people that are driving. And I'm not throwing any judgment on anybody. We've all been there. We've all done it.
And nobody's happy about either side.
We've all done it. We've all crossed against the light. We've all kind of like, well, it's clear now, and you go. When you start doing that, then other people start to do it. There's the group mentality, and then now the cars get all jammed up because they can't go, and they get all angry. And we've all been that person.
Sure.
So I like that solution. It's going to be much better. I don't want people to panic and be like, "What do you mean I can't cross?" It's not like you're can't get to the game.
Ahead. You're going to walk across. You're going to walk across bridges.
Yeah, you're going to be able.
That will also have fences that will go up high.
John's point about Vegas. Anybody that's been out to Vegas, that's how no one crosses the strip. Well, I guess you could.
You can't. No, you can't because you got to like.
Oh, you can
get out of your car.
No, you got to like. Get
out of your car in the middle of it. It would not go well for you.
Right, it doesn't go well for you. But it keeps traffic flowing.
You have arches. Yeah, you have arches that go over, and you walk across those. It's much safer, everyone.
Here's the key, though. It's all part of the battery that they're building.
Right.
This is in conjunction with the battery that will be built.
Which is down that way.
You also get off the subway stations and you could walk totally dry to Citizens Bank Park.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
If you're
covered walkway.
That'd be great.
Covered walkways.
Yeah, they're not covered in Vegas because it never rains.
No, it doesn't rain.
100 degrees all the time.
Philadelphia is so unique that all 4 of their teams play within 10 yards of each other.
And I love it. I'm glad that it did.
Which is amazing. So
I'm glad that it didn't go downtown, even though I wasn't against it if they wanted to do it.
Agreed.
I'm glad they did.
I love that we're all there. It's easy on and off usually, but it does get a little hemmed up. We all remember a couple of years ago where they had like the playoff baseball game. They had the friendly at the link, and it was the home opener of the Flyers, and it was every single parking space in South Philadelphia.
Amy will have a parking space. The governor said Amy will have a dedicated parking space.
We'll get a plaque done and everything.
That's what it says.
Be perfect. All right, coming up next, we'll reset our big topics of the day. And also, on top of the what you want to see in Philadelphia sports, I'm going to ask a Sophie's choice of a question about the number one event, if you could only go to one, of the big worldwide or countrywide events that are coming to Philadelphia this summer in the sports scene. It is Kincaid and South Tunis. Back after this here on 97.5 The Fanatic.